All right, everybody, welcome back to True Crime with Lamb Investigations. I am retired Sheriff Mark Lamb, and this is...
Your lovely wife.
I figured True Crime is better with Janelle, like everything in life is better with her, so...
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. Well, today we got a good one. This one actually comes from my agency. It deals with a crazy guy, unfortunately, 4 dead people and 2 heads. And so this case is the case of the crazy killer. Now, a lot of people like to hear about the cases that we have in Pinal County, and this is probably the most memorable one that I had as my time as sheriff, and certainly the most. There are certain cases that just leaves a mark on everybody. Everybody that responded to this case, us as sheriffs, me as the sheriff, I remember when I was dealing with it. But to set this case up, I got to take you back to September of 2022. Now, on September 4th of 2022, we get a frantic 911 call into the Pinal County Dispatch. And this is from a young 16-year-old Rudy Wilson. Rudy Wilson calls up and she is lost. She's losing it. And she says, "My brother has gone crazy. He's beating up my mom." And then click, the line goes dead. So the deputies, they head as fast as you can. And you don't know what you're running into when you hear a call like that. Is it just a domestic? Are they fighting? Are they arguing? We get calls a lot. Obviously, the frantic voice said that this was more to it. And then the line going dead shows that somebody didn't want you calling 911. We hustle there. As deputies show up, we see a man walking out, young man, 20, I think he, at the time, was 21 years old. We see this man who was identified as Richard Wilson IV. We see him walking around from the outside of a fifth wheel trailer outside the house. And he says, "You're looking for me. I'm right here. I did it," and they take him into custody. That's not the bad part. The bad part is what happens when they walk in the house and what they see. And what they see are, first of all, he was covered in blood. He had blood on him. He had some cuts on his hands. So this is already not a good sign. When they make it to the house, they end up finding 4 bodies. And I'm going to kind of walk you through. So we kind of pieced it together after that. What had happened was Richard Wilson is upset with his mom and dad over something petty, to be honest with you. It was petty. Like, weren't letting him play video games, play Roblox or something silly. He supposedly has an IQ of about 68. He's got some mental health issues. He's got intellectual disability. And they also said later on that he had cannabis use disorder. So Richard gets ticked off about something mundane and he begins to fight with his parents. He ends up taking a knife and we're pretty sure that the order goes in this way, that he first gets in, starts beating up his dad, 47-year-old Richard Wilson III, and he ends up stabbing him to death. At the same time, his mom, of course, is trying to jump in. This is Ellen, who goes by Lucy Otterman. She is a Sioux Nation Native American from North Dakota. She is the one that was being beat up, according to the 16-year-old Rudy Medina. So she's getting beat up when Rudy calls, when the line goes dead. They find her brutally stabbed and dead. The last 2 people in the house were Rudy Wilson, 16 years old, and Renaya White, who was like Lucy's shadow. Renaya's parents had died in 2017, her mom, and then her dad died in 2021. And so they were raising little Renaya White, 5 years old. So after he takes his mom's life and he forces his sister, Rudy Wilson, to hang up the phone. And then he begins to stab her and kill her. And she was trying to protect Renaya White, he then grabs a hold of her and he brutally stabs and kills her as well. When we show up, we find these 4 bodies, but the 2 most concerning were these 2 because they had been beheaded. They had been decapitated.
gosh.
So you can imagine the
Horrible.
scene that the deputies now are coming upon. This is the house that they showed up to. These leave a horrible.
Yeah.
I've been to a few scenes like this, and they're anytime you deal with children, they're the worst. But to show up and see just the house covered in blood, 4 people dead, 2 of them brutally dead. We end up taking him downtown. Obviously, he had no pushback against us. This wasn't the first time we had dealt with him, and we had other calls for assault and disorderly conduct and a few other things. But it wasn't the first time we had dealt with him. Plus, I guess they found out later on from the grandma, who kind of was a little bit covering for him in some of her comments.
He's a good boy.
Typical, he's a good boy. I hope he gets the help he needs. No. He brutally murdered 4 of his family members, including 2 children, 1 small child. Well, he gets a $2.5 million bond. I don't even know why he gets a bond. He shouldn't have had any bond.
Right.
And he is arrested and charged with it. Now, typically, we would seek the death penalty on this case. And initially, the prosecutors were pushing for the death penalty. But what do you think some of the challenges were on that?
His mental health.
Mental health.
Yeah.
Mental health was becoming a problem in this case. He had been schizophrenia, but then they realized they weren't even giving him the right pills. Obviously, they had taken him to 11 different mental health institutions over time. The family had tried to get him help. They had done a bunch of different things for him. Remember, he's got an IQ of 68 and probably constantly smoking marijuana. Mm-hmm. The sister, her Native American name, I'm going to actually have you try to say it.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Say this right here.
Which one?
This and this. So this is Rudy
Okay.
Latrice Wilson.
Well, Saka'a. Wichitunua Extasa'a.
And what does it mean?
Star loves her horse.
Star loves her horse. That was her Native American name. We tried for the death penalty on Richard. Ultimately, we had to offer a different plea. We had to offer life in prison without parole, 4 counts of it. This man will never, ever see the light of day again, nor should he see the light of day again. I know that our detectives and our deputies who responded to this case will never be the same. Clearly, we had 4 lives lost that day. We had the dad, Richard Wilson III, the mom, you hold those 2 for me, Ellen, and then we had Rudy and Renaya White. These were the 4 victims of Richard Wilson that day. He's a monster, whether he's crazy or not, and he deserves to be locked away. I think he deserved to be put to death, but I understand making sure that he did not. Because sometimes if you push too hard on the death penalty and they're found incompetent or insane, they might spend 5-10 years in a facility and then they're back out in the public again.
Yeah, this guy cannot get out.
I remember talking to the county attorney about this case, and we said, hey, we cannot have this guy back in society. If we have to do life in prison, then that's what we need to do. So Richard Wilson IV will never see the light of the free light of day again, and he is exactly where he belongs. And hopefully God has embraced the 4 family members of his. I don't know if you've ever heard about this case. It wasn't really publicized outside, I don't think, of Arizona, but this is the case of Crazy Killer. I mean, right in your own home, you would think that this is where you would be safe. You would never believe that your own child would brutally attack you and murder you, and then to brutally attack and murder his sister and then his little, I guess, niece.
Tough.
Oh, tough. And so let me know what you think. Was this sufficient? Should he have seen the death penalty? Did we get it right? Fortunately, we found him that day and we didn't have to drag it on. But I think in the end, he's exactly, like I said, where he belongs. So let me know what you think. Comment, like, subscribe, and catch us on the next one because Janelle's going to be doing one of our true crime videos.
You never know.
We'll catch you on the next video.